Hello, I'm Malcolm Haslett.
I'm Janice Baker. What do you do when you can't solve a family problem? Who do you turn to?
And why has a local performer had such an effect on the local show business community? Get the answers to those questions and more.
Next on Our Time.
And welcome.
Yes, here we are.
Once again, before we do anything, we should have a big thanks to Mark Decaux, the bee bushman, the bush bee man. I keep saying that the
That's
wrong way.
right, no, it's still the same.
That, yes. Well, you know, he was on the show a couple of weeks ago talking about bees.
Yes.
And he made his own version of the show, coming into the show, getting made up, finding his way
With his
through
son,
the university with
who
his
was
son.
following him around with the camera.
Yes, all the time. And he's put that up on YouTube on his site, which is right there, so that you can have a look at what actually happens here when somebody comes in to be a guest on the program. So thanks to Mark for cross-promoting,
absolutely.
so to speak. Now, we have a very special guest.
And Gale.
Mm-hmm.
And?
Who is from the Office of the Public Advocate. I had no idea, and welcome to Our Time.
Thank you very much for
having me. I had no idea such an office existed because it's right next to Channel 44's office at the ABC building here in South Australia.
It is indeed. It's a bit of an unusual partnership or location, but
you must have a great view of Adelaide City.
The best view, and we can see everything coming, the weather storms coming from the south.
I know.
From level 7. It's a very nice location. Yes.
Well, the nice location, though, must be conducive to solving problems, is it?
Well, we work to advocate for people, and we also offer some services to resolve disputes between family members, particularly in relation to advanced care directives.
How long have you been doing this, Anne?
The last 3 years is this service has been established,
right.
So it is fairly new
Yeah.
in terms of the community knowing about us providing a dispute resolution services if people get into trouble with decision making with advanced care directives.
Perhaps if we should give an example. So if you and I were family
Yes.
and we had an aged parent who had perhaps dementia, and I was trying to shove them into a home somewhere and you were trying to
keep them at home,
or it was a money issue or a care issue, and we just couldn't decide what to do. What happens?
Well, you're spot on in terms of the sorts of decisions that people run into trouble with or have conflict about. So you might have been appointed substitute decision maker for your father, for example, as you've pointed out. If he's made an enduring power of guardianship in the past or an advanced care directive more recently...
Well, this is the booklet here, isn't it?
That is the advanced care directive kit that's come in the last 3 years, and that is where a person can put down their will and preferences for the future about where they want to live, about their type of lifestyle, who they want to see, and about health decisions. That doesn't deal with money, that's an enduring power of attorney. And under that directive, you can appoint people to make your decisions for you when the unfortunate time comes that you can't make them for yourself.
Right.
And they're substitute decision makers. But they're meant to be guided by what you've put down in
this booklet.
Yeah, and they're meant to pay respect to your decisions and your will and preferences for the future.
It's pretty straightforward because it's saying who you appoint, what's important to you, your values and wishes, your refusal of health care or
and your belief systems, what kind of, someone may or may not be religious. So you might put those things down about what you want.
Even I just notice a language who's going to interpret for you.
Yes.
Very comprehensive.
It tries to guide people the things to think about. You don't have to do everything, but it guides people about putting down what you might want. And so and it also says that you should still involve a person in the decision making, even if they have got some dementia, that it's still important to involve them because people still have lucid moments.
That's true, absolutely right.
And so it's not about taking over someone's life.
No, it's helping them through this time.
That's right, and to help with decision making.
I guess it's a shame it has to happen. That people do have to have these decisions resolved.
But you hear about it so much.
All the time.
That, families are in dispute over different things, as you say, it can be anything.
Yes.
And is it, I hate to say this, but is it greed on behalf of some of the family? Is it, as you said, it could be a religious decision?
It's a mixture of
everything.
things. It really is. It's highly emotive. You can always tell someone else what to do about an emotional situation, can't you? But when it's yourself, we're very emotional about who we care and love for.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do see greed and we do see people taking inheritance a bit early
Yeah.
when they shouldn't. So we
Right.
see the spectrum of things. Often people think they're doing the right thing, but they may not be. And so we try and focus them not on their own family conflict between one another, but what would the person have wanted, and come back to the wishes of the person, and encourage through our dispute service a mediation process to say, let's focus on what the person wanted, not on what your brother or sister did to you 30 years ago.
Yes.
And a lot of the time, 50% of the time, we can get families to come to an agreement, and that keeps the advanced care directive alive. It keeps the substitute decision making alive. It prevents me being appointed as a guardian for that person, which is if the family can't resolve disputes, the South Australian Civil and Administrative Tribunal might have to get involved, and they might end up appointing the public advocate, which is myself, to be someone's guardian. And we prefer for families to keep
it
intact and make
Now,
those
there's an
decisions,
acronym.
not us.
There's an acronym for that you just said. What's that?
SACAT.
SACAT.
Is the tribunal that makes decisions about who might be a guardian for someone.
Right.
They might appoint me, or they might appoint someone as a private guardian.
Like this one here. This is a document. Is this one to fill in as well?
No, that's a guide. It's on my website, Office of the Public Advocate website, and it's new, and it's also in easy read, so pictures as well as plain English. But it's trying to take that complex law and explain it to people. So you might get appointed as a guardian privately for Malcolm, and then you've got response. Oh no, I said the wrong thing.
I think I might need that though. It's quite right. I could need that in the future. With my voice the way it is at the moment, I think I need someone.
And that gives you some guidance on how to make decisions.
Okay.
Because he may or may not have an advanced care
And
directive.
yes, there are. There's nice pictures.
Yeah, that's the plain English guide, but there's one that's really pictorial.
And this is good too because, well, this particular one, but as you say, it's on your website, it's giving some people's stories as examples of what can happen.
Exactly.
Yeah, fantastic.
Exactly. And it can happen any time. We've talked about older people today, you know, in the last few minutes, but as soon as you're 18, really, you can make your own decisions, and anything can happen, can't it, in your life?
Well, it can.
That's true.
Anything can happen. So we encourage anybody over 18 to make an advanced care directive if they like. Informal arrangements can happen, but sometimes families don't really know what the 25-year-old wants who's now had an accident.
And
Well,
then,
because you
yes,
don't-
but then, no, I'm just thinking, at that age, though, you'd think then if suddenly something does happen, family would be going, well, what were they thinking? What would they know what they want down the track? And would
Well,
they
that's
take any
true, yeah.
notice? So to have somebody like you that can step in and say, well, that's what they wanted and we should actually...
stick by it,
yeah.
you know, and particularly if they fill out the... So if you're going to do an advanced care directive, you know, you might do your will, your advanced care directive, your power of attorney, and who you want to donate to. They're the four things, and that's like planning ahead, which is that document.
Yes.
Planning ahead is a
Well, this
body
one's
that-
got most frequently asked questions like, why should I complete an advanced care directive? Which is a good question, and you've just answered that. I'm currently quite healthy. Do I need a complete advanced care directive form right now? Or do I have to see a lawyer to complete an advanced care directive form and so on? So it answers all those questions. There's quite a few questions there, including wills and enduring power of attorney and who you actually are. There's a lot of information there. All of this is on your website.
Yes, a lot of it. Yes, all of this is on our website, and there's also the Planning Ahead website, the SA Health website. It's all there as well. There's lots of websites, and sometimes it's just telling people that it's there to go and find.
Yeah,
Yes.
And it can be confusing and emotional, this stuff. 'cause
Well,
we're
we don't
talking
ever
about
think
our
we're going to
futures.
die.
Absolutely.
Or we
No.
don't think we might have an accident. Or we don't think we might have an aneurysm. Or we might have a bad voice.
Well, yeah, it could be anything, couldn't it?
It could
At
be
any
anything.
age.
And we hope our families will do the right thing.
Well, but
sometimes they don't exactly know what you want.
Yeah.
No.
So make it clear. Talk about it.
Talk about
it's nice
it.
to talk about it over a family lunch or even at somebody's birthday to say, listen, if anything happens to me, this is what I want. In fact, my niece, who is mine, who's got all that stuff for me, has often said to me, well, what do you want to happen if? What should you do with the house? What should you do with the, you know, the this or that? And it's true. If we keep ourselves to ourselves too much, and you really need to know somebody in your family you can trust. You're not necessarily going to get on with all your siblings or with all your children. It might be a niece or a nephew.
Yeah, well, exactly. Or not even family member.
That's
just
exactly
a really
right.
good
Some
friend.
people
Somebody
appoint a really good friend or a lifelong neighbour. Trust is the word.
Yeah.
Appoint someone you trust and that they'll respect your wishes.
Yeah.
Because we don't all have the same views on life, do we? So
True.
you want someone who will follow through on what you might have wanted, even if they wouldn't want that.
No.
Well, I never thought about, say, the religious connotations before. And for some people who are or aren't, that could change everything very quickly. They would have wanted to donate their entire estate to the church, or they might have wanted to donate their entire estate to their dog or something weird that may or may not be a practical thing. And that's really great information. Thanks for sharing that with us. If you get some questions that come through your office that we could let people know about, I'd be really keen to have you back on the program to
Very
talk about
happy to
that.
come back because it's getting the word out's the key.
Absolutely.
It
No,
is.
it's fantastic.
Well, don't go anywhere for a minute. We'll have you back at the end of the show. But we have a performer who was all over the place many years ago and is now
That's
all over
interesting.
the place on Facebook. And that's coming up after the break. Hello and welcome back.
Malcolm, what do you know about Facebook?
Well, it's a computer-driven program started by the guy in America. I use it quite a bit.
Do you?
These
Because there's
days
some people that don't actually like it at all.
they're frightened by it, I think.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people leave information that's too personal, like do we really care what you had for breakfast or a picture? But our next guest actually has done a brilliant thing because she's recreated the past. So this is Tonnika Xenides. Welcome to our time.
Thank you very much.
Great to have you on, Tonnika. And I discovered you because of a Facebook page that you've gone live with, which is called...
SA Show Business Memories.
Yes. So although this show goes right round Australia, the fact that you started this in South Australia, a lot of the pictures and things you put up are of people that everybody around the country would know because it's the bands and people who became quite famous.
Yes, I try to relate it to South Australia.
Yeah. But
How long ago did you start this, Tonnika?
30th of December last year.
Okay.
Last year. But let's talk about you first of all.
Yeah.
Because you've been a performer virtually all of your life.
Well, not really. I started in 59.
Well, you were a baby
Big
then.
part of your life.
Yeah, you were just a baby. You were just a baby. We've got some photos of you singing, though, because you were a very well-known singer here in South Australia. Worked all over the place, particularly TV
get
shows.
around a bit.
Yes. Look at you there. Now, that's at the Wonderland Ballroom here
That's
in
right.
South Australia, and I know that
Because
I worked there before Tonnika did, and the boy standing, you can just see behind the microphone. I remember that microphone. It was such an annoying thing. It was an L-shaped thing and had a switch on it. But the boy back there is Ken Taylor, who loved, the songs of that time, particularly of Cliff Richard.
Oh, yes.
So he used to sing all the Cliff Richard songs, and I used to sing all the others. But this is a different time. And through that site, I've reconnected with him. You clearly worked on Channel 10.
Yes.
Look at you there. People don't believe it when we say TV cameras used to come right back up in your face, didn't they, in those days?
and they were huge.
Yes, they
That's
were.
right, yeah.
You sing with a band?
On that picture, yes. Yes.
And here's a whole composite of different groups you worked with
Well, they're
as
not
duos
really.
mostly.
They're not really groups. They're just duos that I
Yeah.
put together and that I've worked with over the years.
And where did you mostly work? Was it the hotel cabaret scene in those days?
Well, I've probably performed at most of the hotels and in other places.
Including popping out of a birthday cake on the Channel 9ers.
That's right.
I love that.
Yes.
With
I
Robin
did that
and
one
Joe.
too. Yeah.
And there you are playing. So you also are a keyboard player as well.
Yes.
So you can accompany yourself and...
I did. Yes.
And the sad thing is, though, that you stopped performing not that long ago. Why was
5
that?
years ago, I had heart failure. and I thought it was maybe a little bit too much for me, so I gave it away.
Because you had to carry your gear around.
Carry the gear around. I had to make sure I was there on time and plug everything in and make sure it's plugged in right. And if it's plugged in wrong, you think, oh, well, what have I done? You've got to recheck it, and the adrenaline goes.
So it's very stressful.
That part of it would be. I tried to avoid it, but I thought I was better off giving it away.
Well, so you were a performer singing at so many different places, and now you're in a way recreating those times for people who are looking at your site. How many followers have you got on Facebook?
440 something, I think.
Okay. Why did you do that? What made you think to start doing that?
Well, if you can imagine, I'd cut my show business off. My show business, that was my number one. I used to do a lot of things for that. Behind the scenes, it's amazing what musicians and singers do and the amount that we get paid for doing that. And so all of a sudden, I had nothing. And I started another page, wanted to go into that, and I was successful with that. And then I thought, well, I can't do anything like that. And the only material I had was my own, and I thought, well, I can't do that.
Well,
and
put a picture of yourself up.
That's
Never
right.
stopped me.
Well, I do occasionally put one in of myself.
You do, and that's how we found you, or that's how I found you, because I must have liked the page and became a friend of the page. And I look at it every day. How many times do you post a day?
At the moment, I'm doing 5 a day. I'm doing 1 repeat a day, plus another 4.
Repeats from what
From
you put up
earlier
before?
times that I've put pictures on, because we keep getting new people all the time, and they wouldn't have seen the earlier ones.
That's right.
How do you find them? How do you find the new?
Well, I find it's all a matter of the actual words that you put in the search engine.
Right.
So do you use Google or something else?
I usually go on Google,
Yeah.
but the answers don't always come. Quite often they don't come. Sometimes I just can't find them. And I'm looking for something else, and it's amazing. Something that I've been looking for has just popped up. This is what happens all the time.
So they talk about sitting in front of the TV or sitting in front of your computer for too long. How long do you sit in front of yours looking for this
A
material?
long time. But I get a pleasure out of it. I enjoy it.
Absolutely.
It's a hobby.
It's
Yeah,
like going to the
yeah.
library, isn't it, though, and looking through a picture book.
Yes, you could say that.
Well,
It's
we've got-
research, isn't it?
It is
really.
research,
That's
yeah.
right,
It's
you're
research.
And
researching
as we age, it's so valuable to have something that, really gives us joy. Here's some photos of some of the bands and the groups that Tonnika has unearthed that have just been floating around there in cyberspace. And what's amazing is we know some of these people because,
Yes,
they
we do.
were. So the High Marks were a band here that I recall.
They were very early. They were one of the early pioneers.
Well, we all know who that is.
How could
Your
you
old
miss
friend
that?
Glenn Shoddick.
Sure, yeah, very young there.
Was that the Twilights?
Twilight. Yes.
Twilights, yep. Well, we're all young once.
That's the Third Party. That's the Pilgrims.
I love that because the cameras at Channel 9, this is in my day there too, that's Helen Woods in the bottom.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
Gosh.
And on the front of the camera, they used to have lenses that used to spin around. And quite often you'd be singing in the back area of the studio and camera would come from nowhere out of the darkness and would literally come right up to your face. Come back to us, guys. It'd come straight back to your face and you'd suddenly have a camera that was like moving like this and you'd end up looking cross-eyed into the camera like this because the camera was so close to you. They used to do
true.
terrible things. Let's have a look at some more of those photos.
That's Zoot. That's also 60s.
Yes, do you remember
Darryl
everybody's
Cotton.
name? Darryl.
Darryl Cotton.
Darryl, well, he'd be the main one.
Yeah, Darryl used to come in to into Channel 9 quite regularly. He's such a lovely guy.
He is. He's
was.
very nice.
Yeah.
He
Yes, I
passed
can
away.
remember
He
being
did.
in the same car with him, and he told some
Well, he had
very
a fla-
interesting stories.
Yeah. Well, he had a flower shop in Melbourne for many years.
He passed away a few years
Yes,
ago.
he did,
wasn't
sadly.
Yes.
I can see.
Master's
who it is.
Apprentices.
Yes, with Jim Keys sitting in the middle there.
Gosh.
How amazing. And so you're just finding these on websites and you're just putting in, what do you put in? What are you searching with?
Well, initially I'd say such as a band name, and I'd say Adelaide, 1960s or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And then various things come up. Sometimes doesn't even come up anything related to what I've asked for.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite amazing. And then sometimes I'm lucky, I get it straight away. And then sometimes it comes up with something else that I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And there it is.
So you never quite know what you're going to find.
No, no.
When you sit down and start typing in these things, all these things pop up.
That's
do you
right.
look under, in the top of the search bar, do you look under the photos, or what do you look under?
I do both.
Yeah.
First, I put in the phrase into the search engine, see what comes up, and then they usually say that they've got pictures of whatever I'm looking for.
Right.
So if I find among the pictures an artist or a band that I'm looking for, I click into that picture, and sometimes, not always, I'll find behind the picture, I'll find some information about the artist.
Right.
And do any of these artists ever respond? Do they actually come back at you and say, what a great picture you had
Yes,
seen
where
for
do
a
we
long
find
time?
that?
Well, we get a lot of response from the people in the group.
Well, Anne
That's
Wills,
great.
who's won more Logies than anybody else in the world, 19 she's won.
She has.
Who's been on our program and who is very much a doyen of performers here. Every time you put one of Annie up, I send it to her, and she keeps saying, I never knew that existed.
this-
Because you often don't search for yourself,
That's right.
unless you're really egotistical.
And I struggle to find myself on there.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I must admit I've searched. Have you searched for yourself?
No.
Haven't you?
No, I will
I-
though.
Yeah.
I did
Now?
used to have a website myself,
Yes.
and I pulled it down because I was finished, but I wished I left it there.
Yes. Well, it's probably still floating inside.
Well,
the
I've
space
looked
somewhere.
for it, but I can't find it,
You have to talk to somebody young who understands
Yes.
probably.
that. Yes.
Well, I've got two computer whizzes in the family, but they're too busy doing their thing.
Oh, well,
Oh.
tell them they have to help you out.
Yeah.
Tonnika, it's been lovely to meet you because, again, there's always people doing things that we'd love to hear about. And the fact that we could see this on Facebook. So the site is called...
SA Showbiz Memories.
Right. So if you'd like some more information about that, we're just leaving that on the screen for tick so that you can go to Facebook and have a look for yourself, because you'll be surprised the things she finds. And some of them are cute sort of cartoons, music cartoons, or if you read music, you'll understand some of the things
right.
that are cleverly said in music notes
okay.
or on the staves or the treble or bass clef doing things. It's really quite cute. So you know I actually do follow you. I look at them every day.
That's nice.
Some of the people I haven't seen or heard anything about forever. We must get you onto some of our side, or when I say our side, the theatre people and some of the other people that have been around, had such an influence here in South Australia. But look, thanks so much. Just stay with us because we're going to get Anne back. I've got a few more questions to find out about her office.
Yes.
And I'm sure there's more you can tell us about your Facebook site. We'll be back in a tick. Welcome back.
Yes, and we're back with our guests, Tonnika and Anne. And yes, Anne, I think we just want to remind people that there is somewhere that they can turn to if there are difficult situations.
Certainly, you know, our office, Public Advocate Office, where it can be contacted by phone. We've got an information and education service, and we can give people advice and information, and we can help resolve disputes if there is one about an advance care directive, as we were talking before. And I just really encourage people to plan ahead, get their wishes down.
Even from the age of 18.
So, yep,
As soon as you can.
Life's, you know, a mixed bag of events, isn't it? And you never
Absolutely.
know when things are going to change.
That's
And
exactly
you still
right.
might be able to make decisions for yourself, but if you've put some wishes down, others can help while you recuperate. And
yeah.
if you don't recuperate, then people know what you want.
But that also includes things like organ donation.
Exactly.
Which we all need to consider these days, because it can save somebody else's life. Even though you may be a memory, you're giving somebody else a chance to make memories. Exactly what Tonnika has been doing, making memories. Just tell us
What a great
what a great
segue.
segue was that. Tonnika, so the full name of your site is?
SA Showbiz Memories and Memories in the Making.
And Memories in the Making is an important one because
I think so.
there's things happening all the time.
That's right.
And we want to keep remembering the things, the good things. And this is mostly photos of performers, but you just never know what else pops up on this site. And I've been amused on a daily basis.
Well, I also include theatre people I have done and TV personalities and whatever I can find.
Yeah, it's what you can find, isn't it?
That's right.
And I noticed that some people are also now starting to leave you photos or bits of
A
information
little
about
bit,
things
yes.
that are
A
happening.
little bit, yes.
Yeah, so it's a great way to communicate. There's 400, you might have 1,000 after this.
You might.
Well,
Where
that'd
would
be
we
nice.
go?
That'll keep you busy.
Good luck with what you're doing as well.
Yes.
And good luck to you. And everything is actually about thinking about our lives in the past and the future, about what we've just talked about.
Yes.
So until we see you next time, keep yourself nice till then.
Take care.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.